Chelsea Handler leaned back in her chair, her signature smirk playing across her lips as the studio lights cast a warm glow over the set. The audience buzzed with anticipation, their energy crackling in the air. Blake Shelton, dressed in a crisp, plaid shirt and jeans, strode out with his easy grin, waving to the crowd before settling into the guest chair. His cowboy boots tapped lightly on the floor, a rhythm that matched the upbeat vibe of the room. Chelsea wasted no time, her eyes glinting with mischief as she launched into the interview. "So, Blake, country music's favorite good OL boy," she began, her tone teasing but sharp. "You've got this whole down-home charm thing going, but let's be real, isn't it just a stick to sell records?" Blake chuckled, leaning forward, his drawl steady. "Chelsea, I've been wearing these boots since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. Ain't no stick here. What you see is what you get." The audience laughed, but Chelsea's smile tightened, her gaze zeroing in. "Oh, come on, you're telling me you don't play it up for the cameras? The whole 'I'm just a simple guy from Oklahoma' bit. People eat that up, but it's a little convenient, don't you think?" Blake's grin faltered, but he kept his cool, his fingers drumming on the armrest. "I don't know about convenient, I sing about what I know, live the way I live, ain't nobody telling me to put on an act." Chelsea tilted her head, her voice dripping with mock curiosity. "Really? Because I heard you're pretty cozy with the Hollywood crowd these days. Hanging with pop stars, dating one Yvette. Doesn't sound very backwoods to me." The crowd oohed, sensing the shift. Blake's jaw tightened, but he forced a smile, his eyes locking with hers. "You're talking about my personal life now, Chelsea. I thought this was about music." "Oh, it is," she shot back, leaning closer, her elbows on the desk. "But your music's all about authenticity, right? So let's test that. You're out here singing about dirt roads and pickup trucks, but you're living in a mansion, sipping overpriced wine with Alistairs. How's that square?" Blake shifted in his seat, his voice low but firm. "I don't owe nobody an explanation for how I live. I write songs about where I come from, not where I'm at. You got a problem with that?" The audience murmured, caught between amusement and tension. Chelsea raised an eyebrow, undeterred. "No problem, just calling it like I see it. You're selling a fantasy, Blake. Nothing wrong with that, but don't pretend it's the gospel truth." Blake's laugh was short, almost a scoff. "You know, Chelsea, you're real good at twisting things. Maybe you should try writing a song instead of picking fights." The crowd gasped, a few clapping at the jab. Chelsea's eyes narrowed, but her smile stayed plastered on. "Oh honey, I'd write a song, but I don't think your fans could handle my kind of truth. Too much city for them." Blake leaned back, crossing his arms, his voice taking on an edge. "You think you know my fans? You think you know me? You sit here behind your desk, throwing darts, but you don't know the first thing about where I come from." Chelsea didn't miss a beat, her tone cutting like a knife. "Maybe not, but I know a brand when I see one. And you, Blake Shelton, are a walking, talking country cliché. Boots, trucks, whiskey. Repeat, you're not fooling anybody." The audience erupted, some cheering, others booing. Blake's face flushed, his easy charm giving way to something harder. "You want to talk clichés? How about you, Chelsea? The tough-talking, vodka-drinking comedian who's always got to take a swing at somebody to stay relevant. That's your brand, ain't it?" The room went quiet, the tension thick enough to choke on. Chelsea's smile vanished for a split second, before she recovered, leaning forward with a glint in her eye. "Careful, Blake, you're on my turf now. I swing, you swing back. Fine, but don't cry when you can't keep up." Blake shook his head, his voice steady but laced with fire. "I ain't crying, darlin', but I didn't come here to get grilled by somebody who thinks they've got me all figured out." Chelsea smirked, sensing blood in the water. "Grilled toe, we're just warming up. Let's talk about your music. All those songs about heartbreak and small towns, but you're out here living the high life. Ever feel like a fraud when you're singing about a life you don't live anymore?" Blake's eyes flashed, his patience fraying. "A fraud? You're really going there? I write what I feel, what I've lived. You think you can sit there and tell me what's real? You don't know a damn thing about my life." The crowd was on edge, hanging on every word. Chelsea leaned back, her voice cool but pointed. "Maybe I don't, but I know when someone's dodging. You're good at that, Blake. Dodging the hard questions, hiding behind that aw-shucks grin." Blake's hands gripped the armrests, his knuckles white. "You want to talk hard questions? How about you answer one? Why do you always gotta tear people down to make yourself look big? That's your whole show, ain't it?" The audience roared, split between cheers and gasps. Chelsea's expression hardened, her voice dropping low. "This show's about truth, Blake. If you can't handle it, maybe you shouldn't have sat down." Blake stood, his chair scraping against the floor, his voice booming. "I can handle plenty, but I don't sit here and take shots from somebody who don't respect what I do. You want to talk truth? Look in the mirror." The crowd exploded, the tension snapping like a taut wire. Chelsea stared him down, unflinching, as Blake turned toward the wings, his boots heavy on the stage. Blake paused at the edge of the stage, his silhouette framed by the spotlight, the audience's roar still echoing. He turned back, one hand on his hip, his eyes locked on Chelsea, who sat unmoved, her smirk daring him to keep going. The air was electric, every viewer leaning forward, waiting for the next move in this verbal cage match. Blake's voice cut through the noise, low and deliberate. "You know what, Chelsea, I ain't done yet. You want to keep poking? Let's do this." The crowd erupted again, some shouting his name, others egging Chelsea on. She raised a hand, quieting them, her gaze never leaving Blake. "Oh good, I was worried you were gonna run off and write another song about a tractor instead of facing me." Blake stepped back toward the chair but didn't sit, looming over the set with a fire in his eyes. "You think you're clever, don't you? Throwing jabs, getting laughs, but you're just fishing for a fight, and I'm right here." Chelsea leaned forward, her voice sharp and taunting. "Fishing? Honey, I've already hooked you. You're flopping around, trying to defend this whole authentic country thing, but it's crumbling. Tell me, Blake, when's the last time you even drove a tractor?" The audience laughed, but Blake didn't flinch, his drawl steady and biting. "You want to know about my life? I grew up working land, sweating, in fields, long before I ever saw a stage. You think you can sum me up in a second bite? You're the one playing a part, Chelsea, acting like you've got all the answers." Chelsea's eyes gleamed, sensing an opening. "A part? Oh please. I'm the same person on and off this stage. Can you say that? Or are you too busy switching between Cowboy Blake and Hollywood Blake to keep it straight?" Blake's jaw clenched, his voice dropping to a growl. "You keep bringing up Hollywood like it's a dirty word. I've earned everything I've got. You think I don't know who I am? I don't need your permission to live my life." Chelsea shot back, her tone icy. "Nobody's saying you do. But don't act like you're still the guy next door, when you're flying private jets and hobnobbing with pop divas. Your fans might buy it, but I'm not." The crowd murmured, split between loyalty to Blake and Chelsea's relentless pressure. Blake shook his head, a bitter chuckle escaping. "You're something else. You know that. You sit up here, judging everybody, acting like you've cracked the code on who's real and who's not. But what's real about you, Chelsea? What's..." Under all this snark, Chelsea's smile faltered for a moment, but she recovered fast, leaning back with a cool stare. "What's real about me? I don't pretend to be anything I'm not. I call it like I see it, and right now, I see a guy who's dodging the point. You're not answering my question, Blake. How do you sing about heartbreak and honky-tonks when you're living a life most of your fans can't even imagine?" Blake's eyes narrowed, his voice steady but laced with venom. "I sing about what's in my heart, not my bank account. You think money changes who I am. You think I don't remember where I came from. That's your problem, Chelsea. You see everything through your own lens, and it's a damn narrow one." The audience gasped, hanging on every word. Chelsea tilted her head, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, that's rich. You're out here preaching about your roots, but you're sidestepping the fact that your life doesn't match your lyrics. Just admit it, Blake, you're selling a story, not living it." Blake took a step closer, his voice rising, raw and unfiltered. "You want to talk stories? You're the one spinning one right now, acting like you've got me pegged. I don't owe you or anybody else a damn thing. My music's for my fans, not for you to pick apart." Chelsea didn't back down, her eyes flashing. "Your fans deserve the truth, don't they? Or are you okay with them thinking you're still that small-town guy when you're not? I'm just asking the questions they're too polite to ask." Blake's hands balled into fists, his voice booming. "You don't speak for my fans. You don't know what they think or what they feel. You're just trying to make me look like a liar, to get a rise out of this crowd." The audience was on its feet, the energy chaotic. Chelsea leaned forward, her voice cutting through the noise. "I'm not making you look like anything, Blake. You're doing that all on your own. You can't handle a few hard questions without getting all hot and bothered." Blake laughed, but it was sharp, humorless. "Hard questions? You're not asking questions, Chelsea. You're throwing accusations. There's a difference, and I ain't here for it." Chelsea smirked, unfazed. "Accusations? I'm just pointing out what's obvious. You're a brand, Blake. A carefully packaged, cowboy hat-wearing brand. And when someone calls you on it, you get defensive. Why is that?" Blake's face was stone, his voice low and dangerous. "Because I don't like being called a fraud by someone who's never walked a mile in my boots. You want to keep pushing. Fine, but you're about to find out." I pushed back harder. The crowd roared, the tension peaking as Blake stood his ground, his eyes locked on Chelsea, who stared right back, her expression daring him to make the next move. Chelsea's stare didn't waver, her lips curled into a defiant smirk as Blake towered over the set, his presence filling the stage. The audience was a live wire, their cheers and gasps fueling the standoff. Chelsea leaned forward, her voice steady but laced with venom. "You push back harder." "Oh Blake, I'm shaking, but let's cut the tough guy act. You're mad because I'm calling out the gap between who you say you are and who you actually are. So, what's it gonna be? You gonna answer me, or keep dodging?" Blake's eyes burned, but he didn't step back, his voice low and raw. "I've answered you plenty. You just don't like what you hear. You want me to say I'm some sellout, that I'm faking it. Ain't gonna happen, Chelsea. I'm the same guy I've always been, and no amount of your snarky questions is gonna change that. Chelsea laughed, sharp and cutting. Same guy really. The guy who used to play dive bars is the same one living in a penthouse with a pop star. Come on, Blake, you're not that naive. You've changed, and that's fine, but own it. Stop pretending you're still hauling hay bales. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others shouting support for Blake. He shook his head, his voice, steady but edged with frustration. You keep harping on where I live, what I do. You think that's all there is to me. I got roots, Chelsea. I got memories, stories, a whole life you don't know nothing about. You think you can boil it down to a few cheap shots? Chelsea tilted her head, her tone mock sympathetic. I'm not boiling anything down. I'm just saying what everybody's thinking. You're out here selling this rugged, country boy image, but your life's more red carpet than red dirt. Why's that so hard to admit? Blake's laugh was bitter, his hands gesturing wide. Admit what? That I've worked my ass off to get where I am, that I've earned the right to live how I want. You act like success is a crime. You're just mad because it don't fit your narrative. Chelsea's eyes flashed, her voice rising. My narrative? Blake, I'm not the one spinning a tale. You're the one out here singing about backroads while you're chauffeured around in a Bentley. I'm just asking you to be honest about it. Blake stepped closer, his voice booming, filling the studio. Honest? You want honest? I'm honest every damn day. I sing what I feel, I live what I know. You think you can sit there and tell me I'm not real. You're the one hiding behind this desk, throwing stones because it gets you attention. The audience roared, split down the middle, some chanting Blake's name, others clapping for Chelsea. She didn't flinch, her voice cool and pointed. Attention, oh please. I don't need to pick a fight with you to get that. I'm just doing my job, Blake, asking the questions your fans want answers to. But you're too busy playing the victim to notice. Blake's face hardened, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Victim, darlin', I ain't nobody's victim. But I'm done letting you twist my life into your little game. You want to talk real? Let's talk about you. How many times you gonna recycle the same old stick, tearing people down to keep your show afloat? The crowd gasped, the air thick with tension. Chelsea's smile vanished, her eyes narrowing. You think you can turn this on me? Nice try. But this isn't about me, Blake. It's about you dodging every question I throw your way. You can't handle the heat, so you're lashing out. Blake shook his head, his voice steady but fierce. Heat? This ain't heat. Chelsea, this is you trying to make me look small, and I'm not playing along. You want to call me a fraud? Fine, but I know who I am, and I don't need your approval to prove it. Chelsea leaned back, her tone icy. Prove it. You're not proving anything except how thin-skinned you are. You walked onto my stage, Blake. You knew what you were signing up for. If you can't take a few hard questions, maybe you're not as tough as you think. Blake's eyes locked on hers, his voice a low growl. Tough? I've taken worse than you can dish out, but I don't sit here and let somebody disrespect me for laughs. You crossed a line, Chelsea, and I'm done. The audience was on its feet, the noise deafening. Blake turned, his boots heavy on the stage, and walked toward the wings, his silhouette sharp against the lights. Chelsea called after him, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Run along, cowboy. Write a song about this one. Maybe call it Can't Handle the Truth. Blake didn't turn back, his steps steady as he disappeared off stage, the crowd's cheers and boos blending into a chaotic roar. Chelsea leaned back in her chair, her smirk returning as she faced the audience. Well folks, looks like we hit a nerve. Guess some people can't handle a real conversation. The camera panned to the empty guest chair, the tension lingering like smoke. Chelsea's voice softened, but her eyes gleamed with victory. That's all we've got time for tonight. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below. What do you think? Did Blake overreact, or did I push too far? Let me know, and we'll see you next time.